Ever scanned a QR code at a restaurant?
Oh, yeah. All the time now, right?
Like, what if it's malicious, though?
Yeah.
It could expose you to, like, all sorts of hacking techniques.
That's true. We often don't think about how vulnerable we are in the digital age. I mean, that's why we are doing a deep dive into cybersecurity today,
Yeah.
like real-life cases that show just how easy it is to be targeted.
And we have some insights to help us with this from Amit Thubay.
A cybercrime investigator. Yeah.
Yes. He has cracked, get this, over 750 cases.
Wow.
He reveals the dark underbelly of the digital world.
And you know what I find really fascinating about Dubey's investigations is that they often go beyond just the technology.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he delves into like the human side of cybercrime and,
Yeah.
really exposes our vulnerabilities.
Okay, so let's jump right into a case that Dubey recounts that really shook me up.
Oh, yeah.
It involved a restaurant hack
Okay.
where a QR code, those black and white squares we scan with our phones?
Yeah.
It turned out to be a trap.
Really, it's incredible how clever these attacks can be.
And scanning that code, it actually infected phones with this malware called Cloud9.
Malware, essentially, is malicious software designed to disrupt or damage computer systems.
And to make matters worse, it wasn't just some random hacker behind this.
Right.
This malware, it originated from a Russian APT group.
APT stands for Advanced Persistent Threat,
Okay.
which basically means a highly sophisticated and organized group, often state-sponsored, conducting these prolonged cyber attacks.
So this case, it really highlights the global reach and sophistication of cybercrime. But the mastermind, and this is the crazy part, it was not who you might expect.
Who was it?
It was a disgruntled, get this, former intern
Wow.
seeking revenge on the company that he had worked for.
That's wild. He used this malware to launch a DDoS attack against the company.
A DDoS.
A DDoS attack, or distributed denial of service, is essentially like a digital traffic jam. So it overwhelms a website or server with traffic from multiple sources, and it makes it inaccessible to legitimate users.
So it's not just, shadowy international groups,
Right.
but also insider threats that we need to be wary of.
Absolutely. And this really underscores Dubey's point, that often the weakest link in cybersecurity is us, humans.
Yeah.
It's true. Hackers exploit our curiosity, our trust, our desire for convenience. Think about, have you ever clicked on a link that you maybe shouldn't have? Or downloaded something that seemed, too good to be true?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, those are the types of actions that hackers prey on.
Dubey refers to this as social engineering, right?
Right.
It's basically the art of manipulating people to
Right.
give up sensitive information or take actions that compromise their security.
It all comes down to understanding human psychology and behavior. Right?
Yeah.
And these tactics can be so surprisingly simple, just preying on basic human emotions.
Like, for example, remember that case of the 14-year-old boy who made millions by offering people, discounts on their electricity bills?
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, how can someone so young pull off such a sophisticated scheme? He basically exploited a vulnerability in an online payment system and essentially was using his tech skills to just divert funds.
What's really interesting here is that, this case shows that age doesn't necessarily correlate with criminal intent or capability, especially when we're talking about cybercrime.
Yeah, it's not always who you expect.
Right.
Dubey also highlights how children, with their natural curiosity and desire to connect, they are especially vulnerable online.
Absolutely. Criminals, they lurk in these gaming platforms, befriending kids, and they're subtly extracting information that could compromise their parents' devices. It's a chilling reminder that we need to be, as vigilant about online safety as we are about physical safety.
Dubey shared one case where a hacker obtained sensitive data from a child.
Just a child.
Yeah.
Just by pointing out seemingly obvious facts.
Like what?
Like the child's location based on their IP address or their phone's battery level.
Oh, wow.
And the child was intrigued by this insider knowledge, right?
Right.
And so they unwittingly revealed crucial details that the hacker then used to gain access to the family's devices.
These types of attacks are so insidious because they really do exploit a child's natural curiosity and trust.
It makes you realize that we need to be having these conversations with our kids,
Yeah.
educating them about online safety, just like we teach them about, road safety or fire safety.
Precisely. And it's not just about telling them what not to do. It's about helping them understand, the nuances of the digital world, empowering them to make safe and responsible choices.
So now there's another aspect of the digital world we need to talk about, and that's the dark web.
Yeah, the dark web, it has this almost mythical reputation, right?
Right.
This place where all sorts of illegal activities take place.
Mm.
And it's true. It's a hidden part of the internet where cyber criminals buy and sell stolen data, hacking tools, all sorts of illicit goods.
Dubey's warning is clear: stay away from the dark web.
Yeah.
Even casual browsing can expose you to serious risk. It's like wandering into a dangerous neighborhood. Nothing good is likely to come of it.
Yeah, the dark web operates outside the rules and safeguards of the regular internet.
Right.
So the consequences of getting caught up in, illegal activity there can be severe.
Okay, so we've got international hacking groups. We've got disgruntled insiders, teenage masterminds.
Yeah.
And the lurking dangers of the dark web. It makes you wonder, is anything safe anymore?
Well, Dubey says the biggest mistake is thinking that any device or operating system is completely impenetrable.
So even iPhones.
Even iPhone.
Which are often touted for their security.
They're targeted. In fact, there's a huge demand for iPhone hacking tools on the dark web.
So this really shatters the myth that certain devices or operating systems are inherently safer than others.
Any system with vulnerabilities can and will be targeted if the payoff is high enough.
Yeah.
It's a constant arms race between, developers trying to secure systems and hackers trying to find and exploit weaknesses.
So if we can't rely on technology alone, what can we do?
Well, awareness is the first step.
Okay.
Understanding the tactics that hackers use, being conscious of our own online behavior is crucial.
Yeah.
And as Dubey's cases demonstrate, sometimes the most unexpected sources can provide really valuable insights. He shares this story about a 9-year-old boy who inadvertently helped solve a case.
The boy who was downloading YouTube tutorials on hacking.
Yes,
Ooh,
exactly. What seemed like innocent curiosity actually provided a crucial clue for investigators.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it just highlights how seemingly insignificant actions can have unintended consequences in the digital world.
Speaking of kids and their, tech savviness, Dubey observes that younger generations, they're often more comfortable with technology than adults.
They've grown up immersed in it.
Right.
But that comfort can sometimes lead to a lack of awareness about the potential dangers.
Right.
It's like they're so used to navigating the digital world, they don't always see those potential pitfalls.
Dubey brings up this thought-provoking question. Could China's restrictions on internet access for teenagers, while controversial, offer some valuable lessons for other countries?
It's definitely a complex issue.
Yeah.
On the one hand, limiting access raises concerns about, freedom of expression and potential censorship. But on the other hand, unrestricted access can expose children to cyberbullying, addiction, harmful content, and even online predators.
Right.
So it's a delicate balancing act.
Yeah.
Finding ways to protect children without stifling their development and access to, that vast potential of the internet, it's something that, societies around the world are grappling with.
Absolutely.
Dubey's central message is that cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility.
Right.
We can't simply rely on tech companies or law enforcement to protect us.
We need to be proactive and take ownership of our online safety.
Exactly. And it starts with awareness, education, and a healthy dose of skepticism. Question those too good to be true offers. Think twice before clicking on that suspicious link. Be vigilant about the information you share online.
It's not about living in fear.
Right.
It's about making informed choices and being proactive about our digital security.
You got it. And here's a final, thought-provoking point from Dubey.
Okay.
He argues that many of today's complex technological problems, they could have been solved much earlier if we had paid closer attention to basic principles and human behavior.
So, we've been so focused on building these amazing technological advancements that we've neglected the human element.
The very thing that hackers are exploiting. So it's a reminder that sometimes the simplest insights can lead to the most profound solutions. It makes you wonder, are we overlooking crucial pieces of the puzzle in our quest for technological advancement? It's fascinating how Dubey connects cybersecurity to seemingly unrelated fields.
I know, all right.
Like psychology and even philosophy.
Yeah.
He draws these parallels between the digital world and, these ancient concepts of human nature.
And he brings up the Bhagavad Gita, right?
Yeah.
The ancient Indian text, and its description of the 5 weaknesses of human nature: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego.
Right.
And he's like, there's a 6th weakness.
Okay.
And this is particularly relevant in the digital age.
What is it?
Curiosity.
Curiosity.
That insatiable need to know.
Yeah.
To click, to explore. Like, that drives so much of our behavior online.
And hackers, they're masters at exploiting that.
Totally.
Think about, all the time that we spend scrolling through, like, social media feeds, clicking on links, watching videos.
Yeah.
A lot of that is driven by curiosity.
Right.
That desire to find out what's next, what's new, what's trending.
But while it's a wonderful thing, it can also lead us down some risky paths online.
Dubey uses this powerful analogy.
Right.
He says, curiosity is like fire.
Okay.
It can be a source of warmth and light,
Mm-hmm.
or it can burn us.
Yeah.
It all depends on how we control it.
That's a good point. So it's a good reminder to be mindful of what we're clicking on, what we're downloading,
Right.
and who we're interacting with online.
Like, just as we wouldn't, open our door to a stranger in the middle of the night,
Right.
we shouldn't blindly trust everything we encounter online.
Totally. And this awareness is super important, especially for parents, because kids are often the most vulnerable to, like, online manipulation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their curiosity and lack of experience can really make them easy targets
Right.
for hackers and predators.
Dubey talks about how, kids are drawn to certain apps and games, not just because of the content, but like the way they're designed.
Oh, interesting.
These apps and games, they often have features that trigger these addictive impulses.
Right.
That keep kids coming back for more.
He mentions Snapchat and Discord specifically as examples.
Yes. Things like disappearing messages, location tracking, anonymous chat,
Yeah.
They create this sense of freedom and anonymity that can be, both alluring and dangerous for young people.
It's like they're designed to keep you engaged, to keep you coming back.
To keep you coming back for more.
And the more engaged we are, the more data we generate.
Right.
The more valuable we become to these companies.
Exactly. Dubey isn't saying these apps are inherently bad.
Right.
But he's urging parents to, understand the risks and to have open conversations with their children about online safety.
He emphasizes the importance of teaching kids to think critically about the information they're consuming and to be wary of people they don't know in real life, especially in, online games.
Yeah.
Where it can be easy to let your guard down.
Absolutely. And he shares some pretty disturbing examples of how predators use online games to, target children.
Yeah.
Luring them into dangerous situations.
Yeah, and it's not just about financial scams anymore.
No, it's not. And he mentions Roblox, a popular online game, among kids.
Yeah.
It's a platform where these predators often lurk.
It's heartbreaking because kids often see these online interactions as just another part of the game, right? They don't necessarily have the same sense of danger that adults do.
It's not always easy for parents to keep up with all the latest trends and technologies either.
I know.
I mean, these apps and games are constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And kids are often more tech savvy than their parents, right?
Yeah, they are.
Dubey talks about how this generational divide creates a real challenge for parents.
Right.
And he even suggests, and this is pretty provocative, that maybe we should look to China for guidance.
He's talking about China's policy of limiting internet access for teenagers.
Right.
I know that's a very controversial topic.
Yeah.
But it does make you think about how we balance freedom and safety in the digital age.
It's a difficult conversation.
Yeah, it is.
But one that we need to have.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the, well-being of our children.
Dubey's point, I think, is that we need to be more proactive about setting boundaries and limits in the digital world. Just as we do in the physical world.
Right. He highlights how tech companies design apps and games to be addictive, to keep us glued to our screens. He even compares some of these features to, drugs,
Oh, wow.
designed to give us that dopamine hit that keeps us coming back for more.
And while we might not want to admit it, we're all susceptible to these tactics to some degree.
Absolutely. It's not about blaming the tech companies or the kids.
Right.
It's about understanding how these systems work and making conscious choices about how we engage with them.
Dubey shared this case that really illustrates this point.
Okay.
It involved this family in Delhi.
Okay.
And their entire household was seemingly being hacked. They were getting threatening messages.
Wow.
Their calls were being intercepted. Their home security cameras were being accessed.
Scary.
It was a nightmare scenario.
They can imagine. that feeling of hopelessness they must have experienced.
They tried everything, changing passwords, formatting phones,
Oh.
even getting rid of their Wi-Fi, but nothing seemed to work. And Dubey was initially skeptical, but he agreed to meet with the family, and he started by asking them to, like, recount the entire timeline of events, right?
You're
Like,
right.
noting down every detail,
Yeah.
every suspicious message, every strange occurrence.
Being thorough and methodical is key in these situations.
Yeah.
Often the smallest detail can, hold the key to solving the case.
And Dubey noticed a couple interesting things. First, the messages often contained, like, misspellings and grammatical errors, which kind of suggested that the hacker might be a child.
Oh, interesting.
And second, the messages seemed to indicate that the hacker was aware of, like, things happening in real time, like conversations the family was having, or like visitors arriving at their home.
That real-time awareness, that's a significant red flag.
Yeah.
It suggests a level of access that goes beyond just hacking into accounts.
Right. And the family insisted that there were no children in their immediate neighborhood. So Dubey was puzzled. He had his team analyze all the phones in the household,
Right.
looking for any, like, common apps or software that could be the source of the problem. It was like searching for a needle in a haystack.
Oh, yeah. With so many apps and programs out there,
Right.
each one could potentially be a point of vulnerability.
And they found something, an app called Parallel Space.
Parallel space, that's an interesting app.
Yeah.
It allows you to create a hidden, like, secondary space on your phone
Yeah.
where you can install and run apps independently of your main phone's environment.
So it's like having a secret phone.
It's like having a secret phone within your phone.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And what Dubey discovered was that each family member's phone had Parallel Space installed.
Wow.
And within that hidden space, there was a second WhatsApp account configured.
Okay.
And get this, those WhatsApp accounts were linked to other family members' numbers.
So the hacker could send messages from one family member's phone
Yes.
that appeared to come from another family member's WhatsApp account,
Exact.
even if that second phone was off or in a different location.
It was like a digital puppet show.
Oh, wow.
The hacker was pulling the strings, making the family members' phones dance to their tune.
That's a really clever technique.
Yeah.
It exploits the trust we have in our own family members
Right.
and, the familiarity we have with their communication styles.
So Dubey realized that the key to solving the case was figuring out, okay, who had access to the phones and who had installed Parallel Space.
Right. And the family insisted that they had no idea how the app got there. And they certainly hadn't configured those secondary WhatsApp accounts.
Okay, so this is where the investigation takes this unexpected turn.
Right. Dubey was now convinced that the hacker was close to the family, someone who had physical access to their devices.
Okay.
So he asked the parents, okay, do your children ever use your phones for online classes or games?
It's amazing how a seemingly insignificant detail can lead to a breakthrough in a case.
And the parents said their 9-year-old son sometimes used their phones for online classes. And Dubey immediately asked to see the child's phone.
It's interesting, how children often have more unsupervised access to technology than we realize, which can make them vulnerable to all these online risks.
Dubey's team conducted a forensic analysis of the boy's phone.
Okay.
And what they found was astonishing.
But
The boy had been downloading YouTube tutorials on hacking WhatsApp and mobile phones.
oh my gosh, talk about a plot twist.
The family had been so focused on external threats
Yeah.
that they hadn't even considered the possibility that the source of the problem might be closer to home.
And the father was furious. He was ready to punish the boy
Yeah.
for causing so much chaos and distress.
Right.
But the boy insisted that he wasn't trying to harm anyone. He said he was trying to learn how to hack so he could protect his family from hackers.
That's both endearing and a bit terrifying. Isn't it?
Yeah, I know, right?
It highlights how children often have a different understanding
Yeah,
of the digital world than adults do.
right.
Their intentions might be good, but their actions can have unintended consequences.
So Dubey took a moment to, examine the timestamps on the downloaded videos.
Yeah.
And he noticed they were all downloaded before the first threatening message was sent.
That's a crucial detail.
Yeah.
It suggests the boy wasn't the original source of the attacks.
Right.
He was trying to figure out how to stop them.
So Dubey now had a new theory. He believed someone else had initially targeted the family,
Right.
perhaps using, those online shopping scams they'd mentioned
Yeah.
as a way to, gain access to their devices and install Parallel Space.
That's unsettling. To think that someone was manipulating this family,
I know.
using their own phones and accounts against them
Without them even knowing.
without their knowledge.
And this 9-year-old boy
Right.
caught in the crossfire,
Right.
trying to be a digital superhero,
Oh.
seeking knowledge to fight back against this invisible enemy.
It's a powerful reminder that, even in the digital world, the most unexpected players can hold crucial information.
Yeah.
And that motives behind actions aren't always what they seem.
This case really left Dubey disturbed.
Yeah.
It highlighted the vulnerability of children in the digital age
Mm-hmm.
and how easily their curiosity and desire to help can be exploited.
It also underscored the importance of, parental vigilance and open communication. We need to educate children about online safety, not just by, telling them what not to do,
Yeah.
but by helping them understand the complex dynamics of the digital world
Right.
and empowering them to make safe and responsible choices.
It's a constant learning process.
It is.
For both parents and children, we're all navigating this uncharted territory together.
Absolutely. And, cases like this remind us that the human element is really at the heart of cybersecurity.
Yeah.
It's not just about technology,
Right.
but about understanding, human behavior, motivations, and the complex interplay between the digital and physical world.
It's like a constant game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, it is a great analogy. I mean, as technology advances, so do the methods used to exploit it.
Right. And Dubey's investigations often highlight how a simple, overlooked vulnerability
Yeah.
can be the entry point for, a major cyber attack.
It's a reminder, to not get lost in all the complexities of technology.
Right.
And to remember that human factor plays such a huge role.
Dubey has this fascinating theory about why we are seeing so many of these attacks now.
Oh, yeah.
He thinks it's partly because, we've become so fixated on technological advancement
Okay.
that we've neglected to address, the basic human weaknesses that hackers prey on.
We've built this incredible digital infrastructure
Yeah.
without fully considering the human element.
Right, right.
Hackers understand this,
Mhm.
and they know how to, press our buttons, manipulate our emotions, and exploit our trust.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that. We've been told that technology will solve all our problems,
Right.
make our lives easier, more efficient, more connected. And in many ways it has, right?
It has, but it's also introduced, new vulnerabilities and risks
Yeah.
that we're only just beginning to understand,
Maybe we've become a bit too complacent,
perhaps.
Yeah.
Dubey argues that we need, a shift in our thinking. We can't just keep adding more layers of technology, more firewalls, more antivirus software.
All right.
We need to address, the root cause, the human element.
It's almost like we need a digital ethics code,
Uh-huh.
a set of guidelines for how we behave online.
I agree. It's not just about, individual responsibility.
Yeah.
It's about creating a culture of, awareness and accountability.
Mm-hmm.
It's about teaching our children to be responsible digital citizens,
Mm-hmm.
just as we teach them to be responsible citizens in the physical world.
And Dubey's work really highlights that cybersecurity isn't just about technology.
It's about peace.
It's about understanding human behavior, motivations, the complex interplay between, the digital and physical worlds.
And as he puts it so eloquently, sometimes the simplest insights can lead to the most profound solutions. We need to look beyond the algorithms and the code
Right.
and see the human faces behind the screens.
That's a powerful image. This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. It's not just about, protecting my data and my devices.
Yeah.
It's about, being more mindful of my online behavior,
Right.
the choices I make, the information I share, and how my actions could impact others.
It's a crucial realization in this digital age.
Yeah.
Our individual actions can have ripple effects across the globe.
And Dubey's most important message is that we are not powerless
Right.
in the face of these cyber threats.
Absolutely not. We can take steps to protect ourselves, to educate our children,
Uh-huh.
and to create a more, secure and responsible digital world.
It all starts with awareness,
Yeah.
understanding the risks, and being willing to change our behavior.
It's a continuous journey, right?
Yeah.
As technology keeps evolving, we need to keep learning, adapting,
Yeah.
and finding new ways to stay ahead of the curve.
So if you take away one thing from this deep dive, let it be this. Cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. It's not just about the technology, it's about us. And by working together, being more aware, more informed, and more proactive, we can create a safer and more secure digital future for everyone.
It's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. And the solutions, as Dubey reminds us, they often lie not in, complex algorithms, but in the simplest of things: awareness, education, and human connection.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of cybersecurity. We hope it's been insightful and has inspired you to think more critically about your own digital footprint. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and stay curious.